Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin, and for today's video we are going to be doing a book haul. I have done a little damage over the past couple of weeks and I have bought way too many books, and I'm actually putting myself on a book buying ban until I think like October because it's gotten out of hand. So we are going to go through all of these books and then these books right here. I think I have a total of 22 books to share with you guys and I'm really excited. So yeah, let's just jump into the video because I have nothing else to say. All right, so I think we're gonna start with the top shelf. First book I picked up was Better Than Fiction by Alexa Martin, and the reason that I picked this book up is I haven't seen it anywhere, but I was in Barnes & Nobles and I literally saw the cover of this book and I was like, oh babes, I need it right now. And then I read the back and I was like, oh, this actually seems like a really interesting premise. So the gist of this book is that there is a self-proclaimed book hater and firm believer that the movie is always better. Her name is Drew, and she did not anticipate inheriting her grandma's bookstore, the Book Nook. So she meets the best-selling author Jasper Williams, who is a hopeless romantic, and when he meets Drew at his Book Nook signing event, he becomes determined to show her the beauty of reading. So he curates a book bucket list in exchange for her helping explore the local Denver scene for his current manuscript. So I really like it because I feel like when we read a lot of like romance books, it's always, oh my god, like the girl is the hopeless romantic, she's the one who's super into romance and stuff like that, and the guy's typically like maybe not into it, but the roles are now reversed. So I was like, interesting, I want to get into it. And again, the cover is just absolutely gorgeous. So I haven't heard too many things about it, so I hope that I like it because it's just such a gorgeous cover, and I've never read anything by this author either. So I picked this up and I'm excited to read it. All right. The next book I bought was Looking for Alaska by John Green. This is going to be the first book I've ever read by John Green. I'm not familiar with his literature, but I am familiar with his movie, The Fault in Our Stars, because that movie literally broke my heart. I watched it 2 times and I cried both times that I watched it. So I picked this book up because I remember I had a friend tell me that they really liked this book and that they recommended it for me, and I was like, you know what? I take my friends' recommendations pretty seriously, and it was only I think like $5 when I bought it, so I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up and read it. It's also not a long book at all. And I saw yesterday when I was Googling it, I saw that this is his debut novel, so that's really interesting to know. Miles Taylor is fascinated by famous last words and tired of his safe life at home. He leaves for boarding school to seek what the dying poet, somebody, called The Great Perhaps. Much awaits Miles at Culver Creek, including Alaska Young, who will pull Miles into her labyrinth and catapult him into the Great Perhaps. Looking for Alaska brilliantly chronicles the inedible impact one life can have on one another. So I'm really excited to read this, and if I do like this, maybe I'll read more of John Green's work. Oh gosh, okay. The next book I have is You've Reached Sam by Dustin Tao, and I have seen this book so much on the internet, and I feel like every time I saw it, people have just been bawling their eyes out and crying over it. And I was like, I feel like it's gonna hurt me. I feel like it's gonna really hurt me. And the cover of this, first of all, is absolutely gorgeous. I need to take off this Target sticker. It's a beautiful and emotional YA debut, or is it his debut? I don't know. It is his debut. I'm reading a lot of debut novels. That's really fun. But this book is about a 17-year-old Julie Clark has her future all planned out, moves out of their small town with her boyfriend Sam, attends college in the city, spends a summer in Japan, but then Sam dies and everything changes. Whoa. So she skips his funeral, throws out his belongings, and tries everything to forget about him, but a message that he leaves behind in her yearbook forces memories to return. So desperate to hear from him one more time, she calls his cell phone just to listen to his voicemail recording, and Sam picks up the phone. The connection is temporary, but hearing Sam's voice makes Julie fall for him all over again, and each call it becomes harder to let him go. What would you do if you had a second chance at goodbye? Oh babes, this is gonna crush me. I can already tell this is gonna absolutely crush me. I bought this book because I have an idea that I'm going to plan for a video, and this book is going to be a part of it. On the same line of sad books, If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nowlin. This book has also been another book that I've seen a lot of people talk about where they are bawling their eyes out. And I will say, the previous cover to this book, I'm so happy there was a cover change because this cover, way better than the other cover. The other cover kind of creeped me out. I have heard so many amazing things about this book, but I refuse to like look into anything about it because I feel like I want to go into this book so blindly because I want to just experience the sadness and the emotions that the way other people have experienced it while reading this book, and I feel like the best way to do that is to go into it not knowing much about it. So I've seen people cry over it and I've seen people say that it's really, really impactful, but I've kind of like stopped it there. And then I know that there is a sequel coming out about this, and I want to read this book before I get to the sequel. It's about Autumn and Finn used to be inseparable, but then something changed, or they changed, and now they do their best to ignore each other. Autumn has her boyfriend Jamie and her close-knit group of friends. Finn has become that boy at school, the one everyone wants to be around. That still doesn't stop the way Autumn feels every time she and Finn cross paths, and the growing nagging thought that maybe things could have been different. Maybe they should be together. And as time passes, Autumn realizes she might not get another chance to make things right before it's too late. A sweet, authentic love story. I have ideas of what I think it's about, but I'm not gonna say it. This book and this book are both going to be in the video that I have planned coming one day. So we're gonna jump into the next books. The next two books are both books by Abby Jimenez. So I have never read a book by Abby Jimenez, but I have been seeing her all over my page, all over my feed, especially with her new release of Yours Truly. I also found out yesterday that Part of Your World, which I actually bought Yours Truly before I bought Part of Your World, but Part of Your World is the first book, I guess, in this interconnected series that might be going on between these books. But I bought this book because I really wanted to get into this author's work. I've heard really good things about her. I've heard her dialogue is incredible, her writing is incredible. One thing that kind of drew me into getting this book is that this is an age gap setup. However, the girl, the woman, is 10 years older than the male, which I always find to be new and fresh, because I feel like a lot of times when you hear age gap, it's always the other way around. And also, the main character, Alexis, is an ER doctor. So hello, women in STEM. I love to see it. I love to see it. So I'm excited to get into this and read more of what this book is about. And then I'm also going to read Yours Truly right after that. This one seems to be also about doctors, I think. I'm excited to read these two books and kind of get a better idea of what they are about. The next book I bought is called The Trouble with Hating You by Sanji Patel. This book right here has been on my TBR for literally, I can't even tell you how long this book has been on my TBR. It is a enemies to lovers premise, which I absolutely love. The main female character is a biochemical engineer. Hello, women in STEM. Like, I am here for that right now. I also think it is a workplace romance. They end up having to work together. The male character is a lawyer and he is trying to save her struggling company, I believe. So I think it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be really fun. I feel like it's going to be such a great book to read over the summer as well. The next book I have also is a yellow cover. This is the 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, and this was a book that I saw a girl on. I feel like I'm not unique. I see a girl on TikTok crying about a book and I'm like, let me add that to my cart. But I saw her crying about this book. She was like bawling her eyes out and I was like, I've never seen this book anywhere. Why is she crying so hard? Do I need to tap in and read it? And then I read the back of it and got like an idea of like what the book was about, and I was like, oh, this seems to be really, really interesting and not at all what I thought it would be about. So The 7-Year Slip is about Clementine West. She is burying her head in the work as a book publicist, being practical and forgetting the silly things her beloved aunt taught her, like living wide and chasing the moon. So Clementine would rather stay grounded and keep her heart safe. For the last 6 months, she's done just that. But when she moves into her late aunt's apartment and finds a strange man standing in the kitchen, a man with kind eyes, a southern drawl, and a taste for lemon pies, her well-laid plans begins to fall apart. Because he's the type of man who, before it all, she would have fallen head over heels for, and she still might. Except he exists in the past, 7 years in the past to be exact, and she quite literally lives 7 years in the future. I think that this book has a little bit of like magic involved, which I think is really, really interesting. I'm excited to see how this is going to play out. These books are falling. I feel like so far a lot of these books are sad. My heavens. The next book I got is Archer's Voice by Mia Sherdanan, and this is okay. Thank you. This is a very popular TikTok book. I feel like this is probably the most popular TikTok book that I have bought in the past couple of weeks, but I have been wanting to read this book for the longest time. I just never knew when I wanted to read this. I've seen people cry about this book. I have seen people say that Miles, the main male character in this book, is like the sweetest, most innocent boy. This is a small town romance, and the main character, Miles, I believe he is mute, so he doesn't talk to anybody, but then he sparks up this relationship with the girl, the main female character, and I'm interested to see where their story goes. I don't know too much about this book because I feel like there's a lot of spoilers that can easily be found when people talk about this book, because it's such like a very, very popular TikTok book, but I've kind of kept myself out of the loop and I don't know too much about it. The town is riddled with secrets and betrayals, and Archer is the explosive center of it all. So much passion, so much hurt, but it's in Archer's silence that we might just find what we need to heal and to live. Alright, I'm sold. The next book I got is The Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy. This book I bought with my friend Logan because we wanted to buddy read a book. Let me tell y'all something. We were going through Barnes and Nobles trying to find a book that we both have not read, and it was very, very difficult, but we finally came across The Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy. And I know Elle Kennedy has a very popular hockey romance series, The Deal, which I want to read, but I don't know if I can handle another like series that long. I ended up picking up The Good Girl Complex, and I'm really excited to read this, even though when I went on Goodreads I saw that it had a lot of mixed reviews, which I'm curious to see and like read it and form my own opinion. But I've also saw that somebody compared this to kind of giving Outer Banks vibes. I love Outer Banks, one of my favorite TV shows on Netflix. I'm really excited to read this if it's going to be comparable to Outer Banks. Mackenzie is a people pleaser. It's exhausting, always following the rules. She wants to focus on growing her internet business. She first must get a college degree. That means moving to the beachside town of Avalon, a community made up of the locals and the wealthy students of Garnet College. 21-year-old Mackenzie has had plenty of practice suppressing her wilder impulses. When she meets local bad boy Cooper Hartley, the ability is suddenly tested. Despite his disdain for the trust fund kids, Cooper realizes Mackenzie is not like other rich clones. My heavens, why did he say it like and falls for her hard. But as Mackenzie finally starts feeling accepted by Cooper and his friends, the secret he's been keeping from her threatens the place she ever felt at home. Interesting. Okay, so we have a little bit good girl, bad boy. Is it giving JJ and Key? Is that what it's giving? I think so. I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it. So I'm excited to read this. I want to read this by the pool. I feel like this is such a perfect pool read. So I'm excited to read Good Girl Complex. Which one is this? Ooh, okay. So the next book I have is Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. I don't know if you guys ever come across this when you read a book. So I read Swear on This Life by Renee Carlino. It is literally one of my most favorite romances I've ever read in my entire life. I read that book in one sitting, which never, ever happens. But I gave that book 5 out of 5 stars, and I have never read another book by Renee Carlino ever again, because I feel like for me, when I read an author for the first time and that book and that experience is so good, I'm scared to read another book because I'm like, I put you on a pedestal and I don't want to take you down. You know what I mean? Because then I get sad and disappointed. So I've just avoided any of her books. But I've heard really good things about this book. Kenzie Elizabeth is a YouTuber influencer that I follow. She loves this book. Sarah Caroli, as you guys probably know, she really loves this book as well. And I've been really wanting to read another book by Renee Carlino. And the book is not too long, which also is really nice. I think it's ready to get over my fear of reading books by authors that I love their first book so much. The next book is The Silent Patient by Alex, how do you say his last name? I'm not gonna even try and butcher that name, but it's The Silent Patient, which I am sure you guys have seen. This is probably the most popular thriller that was blowing up everywhere when Book Talk was kind of like taking off. And I am not a thriller girly. I don't really read thrillers. I used to in the past, but I have just become so paranoid about everything. And I feel like for my mental health and for my sanity, I have avoided reading like mysteries, thrillers, all that stuff. But I want to dip my toes into it. And I feel like starting with a super popular thriller is a good way to start. And I've heard really good things about this book. And the premise actually is really interesting. So the main character, Alicia, she's had the perfect life until one night her husband Gabriel returns home from work. She shoots him 5 times in the face and then never speaks another word. So she is literally refusing to speak, give any explanation as to why she did it, what was her motive, what happened. And the book is kind of trying to uncover the reason why she did what she did, what led up to it, blah, 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 blah. And I'm really excited to read this. I feel like it's going to be so good. I'm probably going to read this around October, something different to spice it up. And speaking about mysteries and stuff like that and thrillers and reading books that are kind of a little bit outside of my comfort zone, I picked up A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which is a YA mystery by Holly Jackson. This book is actually being adapted right now, and they just released the cast for this book, and everybody is like obsessed over the cast, and I'm like, okay, I need to tap in. I need to tap in for sure. It's not intimidating, it's pretty short, and it is part of a series, but I want to start the first book. And I feel like this book is going to be really good. I've heard really, really good things about it. This is the story of an investigation turned obsession. So pretty and popular high school senior Andy Bell was murdered by her boyfriend, Sal, who then killed himself. Oh, okay. It was all anybody could talk about, and 5 years later, Pip sees how the tragedy still haunts her town. Now a senior herself, Pip decides to re-examine the closed case for her final project, at first just to cast doubt on the original investigation. But soon she discovers a trail of dark secrets that might actually prove Sal innocent, and the line between past and present becomes to blur. Someone in Fairview doesn't want Pip digging around for answers, and now her own life might be in danger. Oh, this is interesting. I'm excited to tap into this and read this. I feel like I'm gonna read this so fast. I'm curious to see how this goes. The next 2 books are Love on the Brain and Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I originally purchased Love Theoretically before I purchased Love on the Brain. I read The Love Hypothesis 2021, I think, and I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't like the best thing I've ever read. I read it after I read 7 Days in June, which is 5 out of 5 stars, the best romance book I've ever read in my entire life. So I probably shouldn't have read The Love Hypothesis after it, because I was like, it's kind of mid. But I did enjoy it, and I could see why the girlies were obsessed with it. So I wanted to pick up Love Theoretically specifically because I heard really, really good things about this one, and this one interested me more, and people had more positive things to say about this one. The one thing that, again, I love about Ali Hazelwood is that her contemporary romances are set around the STEM field, women in STEM. I feel like the settings, academia and things like that, and settings that I feel like don't typically get in romance that much. So I really love that she's really like tapping into that scene and tapping into that setting and really writing books in that space, because it also, there's a lot of like very important topics to talk about within that space. So I'm really happy that she's doing that. So Love Theoretically is about our main character. She is an adjunct professor by day, but then to make up for that, like, because she's not making that much money as an adjunct professor, so she also offers her services as a fake girlfriend for other people, until the annoyingly attractive and arrogant older brother of her favorite client turns out to be a cold-hearted experimental physicist who ruined her mentor's career and undermines the reputation of theorists everywhere. And then Love on the Brain, I heard, is very similar to Love Hypothesis. Our main character, Marie, is offered her dream neuroengineering project at NASA, and she is going to work with a co-lead, Levi Ward. Okay, so they're arch nemesis who had a past working in grad school. I feel like all of her books, none of them get along, but I'm excited to read these. These look beautiful together, by the way. I really do like her covers. All right, we're done with the first row. And we're already 25 minutes in. I need to stop talking so much. Okay, the next book I bought is called The Regrets by Amy Bonifants, I believe is how you say her name. This one was a Barnes & Noble staff pick, and I had never heard about it, but I thought it was really, really interesting. So our main character, Rachel, has been noticing the same golden-haired young man sitting at her Brooklyn bus stop. One day she finally musters the courage to introduce herself. Thomas is wise, witty, handsome, mysterious, clearly a kindred spirit. However, there's only one tiny problem. He's dead. He's a ghost. So he is stuck in the limbo between being able to cross over, I guess, to the unliving and then being, you know, amongst the living. And he has to complete a 90-day stint on Earth. During that time, though, he is forbidden to get involved with a member of the living, because if he does, he will incur regrets. So when Thomas and Rachel break this rule, they encounter a cascade of troubling consequences. So this is a gloriously strange, breathtaking, sexy exploration of love and jealousy and heartbreak and redemption. Tell me that does not sound so fun, like falling in love with the ghost and the ghost cannot fall in love with you back because he has to complete this, like, I don't know if it's a mission or something on Earth in 90 days, and if he falls in love or gets any type of involvement with a human being, consequences occur. Babes, what are the consequences? Tell me that does not sound like super intriguing. So I'm excited. I think it's a debut novel. Someone said this is her first full-length novel. Oh my gosh, I have so many debut novels on here. That's so exciting. I saw on Goodreads somebody was like, ghost sex, ? And I was like, oh babes. So I feel like this is gonna be a really fun book to read, really interesting. I think it's gonna be really fun to read during October as well and during the fall time. So I'm like really excited to read it. I just saw a sneak peek about this. Oh babes, I'm gonna love this. The next book I have is Maybe Now by Colleen Hoover. This is, I believe, the second book in the Maybe Someday series, or this is the second book following Maybe Someday. I read that book so long ago. I think it was first or second book I read by Colleen Hoover. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was like a college, I think, friends to lovers kind of story. I think our main character, I do not remember their names, but our main character, Sydney, she recently broke up with her boyfriend and then moves in with the neighbor, Ridge, who is deaf, and he has roommates, and Ridge has a girlfriend, and they kind of slowly build a connection. I do remember it had some type of cheating involved. I know if you are not okay with that, you probably shouldn't read it, but I liked the book. So Ridge's girlfriend in that book, who unfortunately got the boot in that relationship, she was so lovely, and I think this is about her book and her story kind of after that, and kind of picks up where Maybe Someday left off, and her journey, her love interest that I believe she is going to get with, I think he's a doctor, a cardiologist, period. So I'm excited to see that. And it's also excited to see Ridge and Sydney again as a couple and in a relationship. And there's other characters involved that I'm just not remembering their names. Warren's the other character that I really loved. So I'm excited to read this, excited to get into it. The next book I picked up is Elin Hilderbrand's The Hotel Nantucket. This is the first book by Elin Hilderbrand that I'll be reading. I feel like I have a lot of like books by authors that I've never read before, which is really exciting. I have heard a lot of good things about Miss Elin Hilderbrand. I don't know the genre she writes in, romance, but also literary fiction or just general fiction. I think general fiction is probably the most appropriate, but this is one of her most popular books, The Hotel Nantucket, and I've just heard really, really good things about it from a lot of different creators and a lot of different people. So fresh off a bad breakup with her long-term boyfriend, Lisbeth is desperately seeking a second act. When she's named the general manager of the Hotel Nantucket, she hopes her local expertise and charismatic staff can win the favor of her new London billionaire owner, as well as that of a widely popular Instagram tastemaker who can help put them back on the map. And while the renovated Hotel Nantucket appears to be a blissful paradise complete with celebrity chef-run restaurants, there's a lot of drama behind closed doors. The staff and guests have complicated pasts, and the hotel can't seem to overcome the bad reputation it carried in 1922 when a tragic fire killed 19-year-old chambermaid Grace Hadley. With Grace gleefully haunting the halls. Ooh, what is with Ghost? Oh my god, I have 2 books about Ghost. What's going on? A staff holding onto all kinds of secret and Lisbeth's own romantic uncertainty. Is the Hotel Nantucket destined for success or doom? That's going to be so much fun to read. I have a lot of books with yellow covers. That's crazy. The next book I picked up, I'm so excited to read this book, you guys. This book is so high on my TBR. This is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, and this author has been everywhere. From last year with Babel, and then she also wrote The Poppy War. Like, this author has just been all over my feed, all over my timeline. And this book, again, a book that I have seen so many times. It has gotten so many amazing and raving reviews. Like, I need to tap into this author's work so bad. I've heard there's just so much commentary about cultural appropriation, diversity in publishing. So this book follows 2 authors. One author is a white woman, the other author is an Asian American woman, and the Asian American woman passes away and the white woman steals her work on Chinese laborers during World War I and passes it on as what she wrote. And it kind of is, it's told in her perspective and in her point of view, so you're really able to kind of be in her head and be like, why is she doing this? Her thought process behind this, maybe her justification behind this. Really good discussions have come out of this book, and I'm so excited to finally read it. We're almost done. We have 3 books left. The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. This is I almost said offspring. This is an offspring of, I'm just kidding. This is loosely connected to Folk and Heir series. If you've read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, this book is kind of loosely connected to that book series. I absolutely love The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. It's one of my favorite book series ever. I believe one of the characters in that book series is kind of the main character in this book series. So I'm not going to talk too much about this one just because I don't want to spoil anything relating to The Cruel Prince if you've never read it. But it is a fantasy novel. There's a runaway queen, a reluctant prince, and a quest that may destroy them both. Guess they have to work together. The world that The Cruel Prince was based in, that world is just so beautifully and intricately written that Holly Black really builds that world so perfectly, and I'm so excited to be back in that world again, even though we're going to be with different characters and we're not going to be with Jude or Cardan, which we might see them in this book. I have no idea. It's going to be so exciting just to be back in that world because, again, like, Holly Black really crafted that world and made it a world that's just super special and beautiful and exciting, and I'm excited to like get back into it for sure. The next book, another book outside of my comfort zone. Like, I don't know what it is with these thrillers, y'all, but I'm eating them up. I'm eating them up. It is The Last Word by Taylor Adams, and I have seen this book blow up a little bit as well. I think Sarah Crowley was the first person that I saw who read this book, and I was like, that's a really interesting premise. The book is about a young woman who is a reader. She read a book by an author. She did not really like the book, so she leaves I think it's like a 1-star review or a low-star review on some webpage, like similar to Goodreads, where you can like rate books and stuff, and the author comes after her. The author starts stalking her, things start happening to her. I ain't gonna lie to you, it feels a little bit too close to home because the way some of these authors have been acting on the internet, it's like, girl, it seems a bit too realistic. You know what I mean? Like, let's not get any ideas, friends. But I've heard really good things about it, and it's gonna be really exciting. And between this, The Silent Patient, and A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I feel like I'm really in my thriller mystery bag right now, and I'm excited to read this one for sure. Like, this one's really, really high on my TBR. And then the last book that I bought is called Mame by Jessica George. First of all, I want to take a moment and appreciate how absolutely beautiful this cover is. I also think this is a debut novel. I don't know what it is about debut novels, but I love reading debut novels too, because it's like you're really getting to see the author's like first body of work and kind of be there like from the beginning of like hopefully a long lasting career career in books and writing and literature and publishing. So this book follows our main character. This is, I believe, literary fiction, and it follows our main character, Maddie, whose life in London is so far rewarding. Her mother spends most of her time in Ghana, and Maddie is the primary caretaker of her father, who suffers from advanced stage Parkinson's. So at work, her boss is a nightmare, and Maddie is tired of always being the only Black person in every meeting. When her mom returns from her latest trip to Ghana, Maddie leaps at the chance to get out of the family home and finally start living. Self-acknowledged a late bloomer, so she's ready to experience some of those important first things in life. So she finds a flat to share. She says yes to after work drinks. She pushes to get more recognition in her career and starts dating. Internet dating. Okay, girl. But not long before strategy strikes, she is forced back to the true nature of her unconventional family, putting her heart on the line. So this book explores themes of family duty to racism to female pleasure to the complexity of love and the life-saving power of friendship. More importantly, it explores what it feels like to be torn between two homes and cultures, and it celebrates finally being able to find where you belong. Whoa, I feel like this book is gonna hit a little bit too close to home, but I'm really excited to read this. I feel like it's gonna be a really, really good book, and I'm always excited to read books by Black women, so I didn't realize how many books I bought until I finished filming this video. All right, let's now do my favorite part where we gather all the books, if I can get all of them. Why is this wet? Oh, this is actually just ridiculous. Do you see that? That's not gonna work. So I feel like this was a better idea of doing that, but these are all the books that I bought. Now that I'm seeing them all like this is kind of a lot. I will not be buying any other books for a really long time. So that's going to wrap up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have read any of these books, please let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Let me know which ones are your favorite. Let me know if I did a bad decision making any of these book purchases because the book sucks. Let me know all of your opinions down below because I'm always curious to know what you guys are reading, your thoughts and opinions on books. That's what we talk about on this channel. I will be doing some reading vlogs for a good bit of these books, so definitely keep an eye out for that because you will be getting my opinions on a lot of these books coming up shortly. Like I said, I will be not buying any more books. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and to subscribe to my channel for more videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!